He writes his number down on a bit of sheet music with a pen that he pulls out of his pocket. Here I am. I'm Dom. He gives her a genuine smile, top row of teeth, straight and white. His nose wrinkles up, ever so slightly. Zara stares at him, still a few feet away, socks slowly dissolving the frost, and takes the paper from him. But she can't text him. She can't text anybody. Can't let anybody in, no matter how much she wants to. Dom's mobile number is beautiful to look at. 07900 781 187. Such a nice symmetrical number. I like smart people. God, she likes him. Zara stares at the number and thinks, maybe she could text. Just if she stays within the parameters, the rules. She writes her own set down on a note which she'll keep under her pillow. No confiding. No hints at secrets. No intimacy. Keep everything light. You are Suzanne. As an afterthought, she adds to the note right at the bottom. She doesn't know where it comes from or why, but she writes it anyway. Don't fall in love. Zara thinks about it for a few hours, just to be sure, just to be cautious. And then she sends a text. She's glad he didn't ask for her number, partly because she has been issued with a new one in case her old one was breached and she doesn't yet know it, but also because it seems kind of respectful to leave it up to her. This is me. Hi, she sends. Suzanne, your neighbour. He pops immediately onto WhatsApp, and she looks at his profile picture, a selfie. Her profile is a cartoon of a bookworm at a rainy window, steaming mug of tea in hand. Anonymous, but normal too. He won't know that she only has 3 contacts, including him. Her mother and John from the Protection Service being the others. That's what she likes about WhatsApp. It isn't social media. Hello there from my bedroom, through the wall, to yours, he sends with a waving hand emoji. Bolstered, she begins to type. So, what's it like here? Fill me in. He doesn't reply for a while, even though he's read it, but after a few minutes, a voice memo appears. Zara blinks, surprised, and presses play. Okay, so, he says, like sending a voice note is totally normal. Let me fill you in on York. This street is all right. It's pretty quiet. There's countryside not far away. I'll have to show you one of these days. Zara lies back on her bed and listens to his voice, low and pure and honest. Her eyes closed as he teaches her about her new neighbourhood. Later, she gets the courage to send a voice note back, and he reciprocates. They spend the evening that way, as intimate as a phone call, as convenient as a text, with the ability to redraft and start over, to self-edit, as witness protection requires. Zara is enrolled in Hastings School the next day. Once they have had a chance to catch up on sleep and rebuy the things they couldn't bring with them. Their possessions have dwindled so much, but still they lost more. They couldn't take anything that was in the washing machine overnight, halfway through a spin. Gone, too, is Zara's shampoo, lying damp and forgotten in the shower tray back in the Lake District. She hadn't even finished a full bottle. That's how long they lasted there. She ought to feel nervous, but she doesn't, just knowing Dom is there somewhere. A friendly face in the crowd, a friendly face in room 11 of the music block. Like she has already got an advantage over York before she started. It's break time, towards the end of the winter term. The playground is gilded with frost. The teacher stands nearby, his back to her, watching the students in their hats and scarves, walking, talking, laughing. Zara is totally alone, nobody even looking at her. She is invisible, which should be welcome, but it isn't. She's only human. Cold and bored, she lets herself into the block that says music on it. She finds his room, raises a gloved fist, and knocks. Don't fall in love. That evening, like a little gift to open at the end of the day, a new voice memo arrives. God, it was so nice to see you this afternoon. I don't know if I'm being way keen here, but I like you, Suzanne Steele. Anyway, let me tell you about my evening. My little sister, Imogen, she's 4, literally sucked a reed diffuser and we had to go to A&E. She's fine, but her breath now smells of fresh linen. Chapter 55. Aidan. Shepherd's Bush, London. 8 days to go. James, Brian says on the phone. What's up? I've rented a warehouse in Central, he says. The 20th of December, remember? Can we all be there to discuss major strategy? Unless we've found her by then. Can't do the 20th, Brian says coolly, even though he'd agreed to it on Telegram. It's my birthday. 21st instead. And then he adds, can you rebook? It's a good idea. It's a good idea to have a group-wide meet. We're 2 months in and nothing. Didn't think it'd take this long. Surprised your scrapers haven't turned much up. I'll move the booking, Aidan says. Where are the results? You told me it'd be easy. The hairs on the back of Aidan's neck rise up slowly, like a cold hand sweeping slowly up his spine. Aidan stammers. It's harder than I thought. The kid got lucky with the reverse image search. Yeah, well, it wasn't them. It was an empty ass. Aidan sends another grateful thanks out into the universe. I'll try to be better on the scrapers, he says, relief making him feel pathetically grateful. Justice, Brian says quietly. That's all we want, isn't it? Luke's been playing games with the homeless people and everyone is acting like it's murder. Right, Aidan says tightly. It's harmless fun, isn't it? So long as the tramps behave themselves. Yeah, Aidan swallows bile. Innocent until proven guilty. Ridiculous, really, isn't it? He says. Anyone can say anything about a young lad and he'd get tried for it on the strength of what? Words. That's it, just words. He won't be a footballer now. All because of a little game is all. Harmless game. How strange it is, Aidan is thinking. The lies we tell ourselves as parents. The self-delusion. Let me know how the scrapers are going. Soon, Brian says to Aidan. Aidan is on the phone to his mother that evening, right before bed, tidying up. And how's what you spoke to me about? She asked tentatively. It's fine, he says. Have you stopped? He winces as she says it. He can't lie to her. Not so directly. No, he says quietly. But it's under control. Aidan, she says again, using his name with a power only his mother can. I know, he says quickly, blushing, glad she doesn't know the rest of it. The beating, the police, the total disaster that is the scrapers. How many crimes he's probably committing, joining in conspiracies. He closes his eyes and holds the phone tight to his cheek. It's hot, almost like it's his mother's body heat he can feel against his face here on this cold December night in London. He opens his eyes and catches his reflection in the window. He momentarily doesn't recognise himself. He's been doing press-ups, and his shoulders are rounded now, his chest a drum. His face is sallow and sunken, beyond tired-looking. His jaw has changed shape. The dentist couldn't make him emergency crowns. He's had to have a temporary denture, ill-fitting new teeth, and his jaw juts out now. He looks like a man who has been running on empty for too long. Somebody who's had a breakdown or been out of work for years, who's been marooned on a desert island or been sent to prison. He looks like a thug. Somebody who would do anything in desperation. Absolutely anything. Stay safe, his mother says to him. Aidan, please stay safe. Chapter 56. Zara, York, Yorkshire. 6 weeks gone. Dom, in that way of his, sent Zara a calendar invitation last night, with the subject, Betty's and General York tour after school. She accepted it immediately. The world has cracked open for Zara. All the things she didn't do because she has been ashamed of her core self have opened up to her. She could do anything. Go to a late-night lecture, go to Kefalonia to see where Captain Corelli's mandolin was set, talk freely about what she likes, without shame. She tells herself she is being cautious, that she is resisting getting close to him. She is, but it's a basic human need, isn't it? To be spoken to open up, to be touched. They're sitting opposite each other in the opulence of Betty's now. They had to queue, but Zara has always liked the anticipation of queuing. An emblem of optimism, looking forward to something, literally staring at it with a load of people who feel the same way. She'd said this to Dom, who had laughed. It smells of roasted coffee beans and spices here. It's funny to be live and not sending your voice notes, Dom says with a smile. Why the voice notes? He shrugs. Just like them. I wanted to chat to you, but not, not scare you away. Zara stares across the busy restaurant, watching the waiters and waitresses, watching the plates of food and the 3-tier afternoon teas being delivered. She wonders if she has ever met somebody who was in witness protection before, without knowing it. They're nice, she says. I like them too. Dom smiles at her sincerely across the table. So, Suzanne, he says. Suzanne like the Leonard Cohen song. That's me, Zara smiles tightly. Zara, Gurley, Sienna, Suzanne. Were you named after that? Do you know, I've never asked. I doubt it, Zara adds when his eyebrows go up. Mum's not into music. Not into music? Dom says, shaking his head slightly like he can't believe it. I can't believe you've never asked that. Me neither, Zara says, and she means it. She would have asked if she was really called Suzanne. She sips a cappuccino. It has 3 shots of coffee in it. She's never had one before, but she ordered it without thinking, acting on impulse. She's never done that before either. So what's your story then? Suzanne by the river. My story? Siblings? None, Zara says, a wave of sadness moving up through her. She's never thought about that. She's never thought about the future with her stepsister, and now it's gone. 20-somethings, early in their careers, meeting up in London together for drinks, celebrating their 30th birthdays together in the same year, moaning when their parents annoyed them. All gone. That future, all gone. An only child. I thought as much. Did you? Yeah, you know, so composed. Zara laughs at that. He's right and he's wrong all at once. He catches her laugh and raises his eyebrows, wanting her to share. But she doesn't. Can't. Something shifts behind her eyes. She can feel it. She's told so many lies now that she can feel the physiological effects of them. When she speaks the truth, she feels light and confident. And when she lies, she feels heavy, like her eyes are black. Cognitive dissonance, is it? When the outside is not the same as the inside. Where's your dad? Never met him, Zara says truthfully. You? He's in the army. It's hard. I don't know. He feels like a very distant uncle. Zara picks up a menu on the pretense of ordering some food and stares at it, trying to mask that her eyes are wet. Will Aidan one day become like that? She can't imagine it, her careful, kind stepfather. I guess that's natural, she mumbles. Yeah, maybe. Do you miss having a dad? There's a pause. Here she is again, at the crossroads. A whole path in front of her. A whole person will be available to her if she tells the truth. But if she doesn't, she will be safe. And so she can't. She can't jeopardize it again. Does it get cold up here in the winter? She says. The weather. So benign. Dom's expression closes down. Yeah, a bit, he says. They make small talk after that. It's the best way. She records a voice memo to Dom that evening, in the privacy of the bathroom, away from her mum. In it, she tells him everything. What she did when she saw the crime, why she did it, that they were taken into protection, then moved again because of another of her indiscretions. She tells him how lonely she feels, how fucked up, how responsible, and she tells him her secret too, about the motto, and about her plan. And then, before she presses send, she presses delete. She doesn't hear from him. If he saw her recording, he never says. Zara wakes early the next morning, 6 o'clock. Her mother is still sleeping. She sits on her bed and looks at Dom's WhatsApp profile. Last seen yesterday at 22:17. She clicks on his photo and looks into his eyes, wishing she could tell him. As she does so, a text comes in from him. When's the next date? She closes her eyes in relief. She hasn't driven him away. It isn't too late. Chapter 57. Lauren. York, Yorkshire. 6 weeks gone. Lauren is certain that Zara is falling in love with the boy next door. She knows all of the moods of her daughter, but this one is new. She realised it last night, over meatballs. Zara was present in body, but not in mind. She was staring at her phone and smiling. When she got up from the table, Lauren watched Zara bump into the kitchen bin because she was on her phone, and then not even notice that either. That's when Lauren knew. And Lauren is jealous. She is standing outside a nursery now before an interview, and she is jealous. God, she has never once felt jealous of her daughter. Not when she was brand new, 1 day old, and had an eternity stretching in front of her when Lauren's time was almost half spent. Not when she looked like a model on holiday in a bikini. She's not ever been jealous, because Zara is an extension of her. She is Lauren's descendant, her successor. But now she is. She is jealous because the lies Lauren has to tell are bigger. They won't be subsumed into the past so easily like Zara's lies. When you're 20, who you were at 16 is irrelevant. But Lauren has been Lauren for over 40 years. She can't move on. So instead she is standing here, staring at the finger where her engagement and wedding rings used to be. She's lost the tan from the summer entirely, so there's no longer any evidence of them. It never happened. None of it. Lauren reaches the reception of the nursery. Her lipstick is smeared, her hair a mess. Later, she is looking forward to eating a Portuguese custard tart on the bus. The reception has wooden floors, a branded rug with the nursery's name on it. High trees. They're going to ask her competency questions, she is thinking, as the receptionist slides the glass screen back. Can I help? She says, and Lauren thinks, no, nobody can. Suddenly I can't recall a time when I helped a difficult child to develop or I reported a safeguarding concern. Perhaps she can just tell them the truth, a half-truth, that she really, really needs this job, that she would be good at it, that she will love the children, that there is nothing better to her than seeing a 3-year-old late talker say, Lauren, look, out of nowhere, as though somebody just turned on the speech part of their brain overnight. I have a 4:30 interview, she says. As she speaks, she smells it. All nurseries smell the same. Poster paints. the plastic smell of lunchboxes, cucumber and bread. She blinks and glances around her. She is home. Home amongst these smells and the little starfish hands and feet of the children she will fall in love with. Lauren forgets her frizzy hair, her smudged lipstick. "Great," the receptionist says. Her nails click on the keyboard. "Please, can you confirm your name?" "Leonora," Lauren tells the receptionist. She glances at herself again, reflected in the glass screen. There is no Lauren anymore, she tells herself with her eyes. Lauren is gone. "This way," the receptionist says. Lauren isn't prepared. Thought she'd have a few minutes to wait in reception, to calm down, to think of the right answers. She's led instead into a back room where 2 women are waiting for her, their hands folded. It smells of stale tea and chalk. It's heated by a single electric heater under the table they're sitting at. Both women have their feet on it. "Leonora, nice to meet you," one of the women who has dip-dyed hair says. "And you." Lauren extends her hand, then sits down in front of them on what appears to be a child's chair. It's lower than she thought it would be, and the surprise jolts her spine. "So, tell us a bit about you," the woman says. Lauren stammers and stumbles her way over an introduction to somebody she doesn't know herself. She's sitting so low compared to the 2 women. She feels like she's in Alice in Wonderland, like she's shrunk or become distorted. Panic fills her veins. The children's paintings on the wall take on a menacing air. The burnt smell of the heater becomes cloying. The interviewer's eyes look too wide, too prying. Lauren is covered in sweat within minutes. She says. Where's she from? Bristol? London? The Lake District? Her mind is a shut-up shop, closed for business. She can't retrieve the current story she's supposed to be telling from the rubble of the lies. She leaves after the second question. She can't do it. She's not up to it. She's broken. She goes into the bar, a short walk from the nursery, and drinks 3 wines alone. She lingers for hours, drinking moodily, shopping on her phone. Then she buys a cake from a late-night dessert place. She'll eat it all, alone, on the couch, until she feels sick. She finds a taxi rank. She'll treat herself. She can't be bothered to get the bus again, and sit tensed at every stop when people get on. There's a queue outside the taxi rank, bodies fenced into a small enclosure surrounded with metal railings, and Lauren joins them. A woman's arm presses against hers. Lauren closes her eyes, with the pleasure of it, and pretends it's an embrace. She enjoys it so much, that stranger's body heat against hers, that it is the best moment of her day, standing and pretending and watching the black cabs come and go, a traditional familiar sight, beetle-shaped, yellow light on the top. One arrives for her after 20 minutes, and she collapses tipsily into the seat, with her back to the driver, not wanting to look at him. He asks her for her address, and she has to look for it on her phone. She's got the street down, but not the postcode. Her voice catches as she reads it off her phone. Another house, another postcode, another name. The driver doesn't make eye contact, and she's glad of it. Maybe she shouldn't have got into this taxi without checking his license. Maybe he was waiting just for her. Maybe he's dangerous. Maybe. Lauren sits back, drunk, not caring. The disastrous interview is proof she cannot sustain the anxiety of it any longer. Kill me then, she thinks bitterly in the back. She takes her shoes off and puts her feet up on the seats in front of her. Fuck it. Fuck everyone. She opens her phone and prepares to do a deep dive onto the internet. Aidan first. Nothing. No posts since she left. Well, good. He should have come, she thinks angrily. He is miserable without her, and she without him. She goes on to Google Street View and stares at her old house in Islington. She takes a virtual walk down the high street that she loves so much, past the crepe place she always intended to go to but never quite managed, past the Starbucks and the bus stops, past the huge sofa warehouse and the posh estate agents with the double-story glass frontages, down into the alleyways where the markets were. She and Zara would laugh at the ridiculous costume jewellery for sale. God, when did Lauren last laugh? The early morning summer sun was warm on their forearms, back in Islington, on the tops of their heads. She can't stand it. She can't stand it. The taxi takes a corner too fast and Lauren braces herself on the seats. Sorry, the driver calls. She opens Google Maps again. There she is, that tiny blue dot. She zooms out and out and out, trying to get some perspective. York, England, the UK, Europe, the world. There are 7 billion people on this planet. What does it matter that she is in witness protection, that she is missing Aidan? But she can't get it. It doesn't come. She is solipsistic. The world revolves around her. Her blue dot is at the centre of it, like everyone's. All right, love. The taxi driver tries again. Just up here, on the left, is it? Yeah, Lauren says, though she doesn't know. She ignores him. She slides the burner phone out of her bag. I wish you were here, she sends to Aidan. It's a relief, like a bloodletting. The tension in her back and shoulders dissipates. That sentence, I wish you were here, is the first truthful thing she has said all day. And she is glad she has said it. To him, to the man that she loves. She sends a selfie. She is grey and pixelated in the cab, eyes blurry, eyeliner smudged. And she is not alone anymore, trying to make boilers work, trying to make new friends, exercising her own judgment over Zara having a boyfriend, over Zara being rude, after a decade of co-parenting. And that is a life. That is an identity. It isn't paperwork and names and passports. It is other people, being loved, being understood, being witnessed like every single person needs to be. She lets herself into the house and she waits and waits and waits in bed for a reply, eating the cake, her eyes closing afterwards for longer and longer periods, but one doesn't come. Aidan is being good, but she isn't able to. She falls asleep with the phone in her palm, in the space where his hand ought to be. Chapter 58. Poppy, Central London. 8 days to go. Her dad gives a listless yes when Poppy asks if she can bring Emily over. He has no idea, of course, that they plan to use the night to spy on him. He meets them in a cafe in central London after school. Poppy knows why. He is her chaperone since the attack, and he is also taking them on increasingly diverted routes home. He thinks they're being followed, that much is obvious. It's a cold day, less than 5 degrees, feels like 3, according to her weather app. Her cheeks ache in the freezing air. Poppy orders a Coke, with a straw. This lipstick was expensive enough. It's the Dior Lip Glow, goes on like a balm, and makes her lips look like she's just been kissed. Emily orders a strawberry milkshake, of course. We have a little camp bed for you, Aidan says over his shoulder to Emily as they leave. It's especially impossible here in Covent Garden, with the ornate balconies and the melodies of the buskers intertwining, to imagine danger. It seems ludicrous that men in balaclavas lurk around the corner when, look, freezing December blue skies. The hotel across the square is covered in a russet jacket of leaves. There are Christmas lights up on some of the flats nearby. It can't happen here, it just can't. Oh, good, Emily says easily. Poppy's grateful, but embarrassed too. She can feel it creeping up her body like warm bath water. Emily's concerns are the latest Colourpop collection and growing out of her New Balance trainers before she's got a season's wear out of them. Poppy's embarrassed by everything. By her mother's incontinence pads that arrive in the Tesco online shop. By the camp bed at her father's, his cramped flat, weird routes home to avoid criminals. She's so tired of it, so tired of feeling other. Their lives seemed suddenly seedy in the vibrancy of Covent Garden. Her dad strides ahead of them to the tube, his tread assertively heavy, like he is a policeman or a bouncer, but Emily hangs back with her. It won't always be this way, she tells herself. They won't always be frightened they're being followed. She won't always be missing her stepfamily. It won't always be December, be winter. Soon the spring will come. The camp bed is set up in the living room. Poppy has said she will take the sofa to be near Emily, and her dad is too distracted to argue. It's after 11. Her dad is in bed, and it's just the two of them in the living room. Poppy likes the strangeness of it, being able to hear the thrum of the dishwasher, see the blinking light of the skybox, being next to the curtains that touch the floor, like they're in a hotel room or something. Emily found some old IKEA candles underneath the sink and has lit 4 of them along the TV cabinet. They're drinking the only thing they could find in the cupboard, green tea with mint. The flat still doesn't feel like home. There are so many things they haven't got. No salt, no sponges to wipe up with, no hand towels. Emily grimaces each time she sips the tea. Poppy sits on a patch of floor warmed by 2 pipes crossing, cradling her tea in her hands. Emily's skin looks amazing in the candlelight. Nature's highlighter. How are we going to do this then? Poppy says. Where is it? Emily says in a low voice. Poppy gives a small, sad shrug. In his room, I'd guess, she says. She doesn't want to be spying on her father. She wants to trust him, but he might be lying to her. And if he is, someone needs to stop him contacting Lauren before the group finds them. Emily fiddles with the string on her tea bag, whirling it around in her drink. There's no mint in this, she says. I know. He won't be doing it on his normal phone, Emily says, and this is why Poppy loves her so much. She actually genuinely thinks about Poppy's problems, doesn't just pretend she is considering them while waiting to speak herself, or believe that her advice won't be followed, that it isn't her problem. Have you noticed anything? A second phone? Weird behaviour? Poppy stretches her legs out in front of her and absent-mindedly pulls her socks off. I might paint my toenails, she says. She only did them 3 days ago, but whatever. Emily tosses her the nail polish remover and cotton wool. No, I haven't, she says honestly. Maybe I'm totally wrong. Poppy scrubs at her toenail polish with the cotton balls, thinking. Let's just look, she says eventually. Emily gets to her feet. Poppy stands up and starts searching. The kitchen table is already scattered with their things. Her purse, a set of keys, a few junk flyers for pizzas and political parties. She roots through everything, but she knows it'll be in with him. Okay, go for it. Into the bedroom, Emily says. Poppy feels suddenly vulnerable standing there, thinking about the Find Girl A group, the balaclava man, the man's face in the window outside her school. Get his bag, Emily says, first. Don't get his iPhone. Okay, Poppy says. She walks down the hallway and pauses outside her dad's door. His breathing is even and regular. Poppy inches the door open. Emily hovers in the hallway, saying nothing. Poppy is grateful for the deep carpets that mask the sound of her footsteps. The bag is just a foot or so into the room, right next to the end of his bed. She hooks one finger through the loop at the top and fishes it out. Together in the living room, they open the rucksack, the zip sounding like an earthquake in the night. Her dad is naturally neat. There are no rogue receipts or stale crumbs, just his wallet, loose in the main section, and his keys in the front pouch. Poppy tips it upside down, but there's nothing else there. His iPhone will be on charge by the bed, Poppy says. Yeah, I just don't think he'd use that. He's not an idiot. Yeah. Balaclava man was probably full of shit, Emily says. Poppy smiles as Emily seamlessly adopts her parlance. Poppy called her attacker Balaclava Man, and so too does Emily. And the train ticket was probably nothing, work or something. The Truro attack thing could have been a coincidence. Emily roots around carefully in the bag, even though Poppy is sure it is empty. Until it vibrates. Emily starts, staring at Poppy. "There's a fucking phone in the lining," she whispers. Poppy reaches her hand into the rucksack, feeling around. "It's at the back. There's a rip in the lining," Emily says. She slides her arm in further and emerges with a flip phone. It's glowing. 23:26. Poppy should be tired, but isn't remotely. It's otherwise nondescript, except there is a message showing on the front screen. "In case of emergency. Message." "It's a burner phone," Emily says. The sad, sleeping snake is back in Poppy's stomach. She thought he wouldn't be in touch with Lauren. She hoped he wouldn't be. That it would be based on nothing, misunderstandings, but here she is, having found a tiny compartment in her father's weird rucksack, containing the exact thing she was so sure she wouldn't find. And here she is, understanding why he took the phone call on her behalf. Because he had things to say. God knows what. He's playing with fire. Sometimes it feels to Poppy there is nobody in her life who has not let her down. She knows that isn't fair to think, but she thinks it anyway. The phone trembles in her hand. Fuck it. Fuck them all. She holds the phone. The message won't preview, and the phone is locked. She opens and closes the phone, pressing buttons. Fingerprint not recognized. Passcode needed, it says. "Crap," Emily says, looking over her shoulder. "I could try my birthday?" Poppy says, glancing at Emily. "It'll be unguessable," she says. "I mean, what he's doing is basically illegal." She's so smart. Poppy is so glad she's here. "He's not going to use information anybody could guess," Emily says. "Shit. Does it say it has fingerprint recognition?" Emily asks. "Yeah, that's what it says. Fingerprint not recognized. Passcode needed." It's made to look like an old phone, untraceable, but it is advanced. It is the kind of phone you use for things that need to be kept secret. Illegal things, affairs, and things Poppy can't even imagine. "Well," Emily looks to the bedroom. "I mean, how heavy a sleeper is he?" "Quite, though not at the moment," Poppy says thoughtfully. "You could try it, and if he wakes up, just say, I don't know, that it was ringing. You were bringing it to him. God, I mean, he's the one in the wrong here, isn't he? Someone is threatening you because of him, and whatever he told them, it isn't working." Yes, Poppy says, feeling bolstered by her friend's kindness and belief. She rises and goes to the door of her dad's bedroom. He has one arm flung above his head, the other dangling. Bill is sharing the bed with him, and he wakes, looking at Poppy with one eye open. She ignores him. It is easy to get a fingerprint. So easy, Poppy is amazed this sort of thing doesn't happen more often. He stirs, but that's all, and the phone unlocks by magic. She rushes back into the living room. "Success," she says. "Now we can't let it lock." She sits back down and looks at it. It's defaulted to the home page, the one symbol by the text messages glowing red. She leaves it, not knowing what to do about that, and scrolls to the contacts instead. There's only one. In case of emergency. She looks up at Emily. "I think we should read the text," Emily says. "Any and all of them." Sometimes Poppy thinks that if she does something late at night, it doesn't really count. It is something that Lauren has told her in that laughing way of hers. "Calories don't count after 10 o'clock, she once said, inching half a Black Forest Gatto out of the fridge, licking a splodge of cream off her finger. The glow of the screen illuminates a cube of air in front of her face. The rest of the flat is in darkness. "Can you mark a text unread on this thing?" Poppy says. Emily Googles it and sets the instructions out in front of them on her own phone. Poppy braces herself and opens the text. As she does so, a second comes through. A photograph. A selfie. Poppy stares at it. It's Lauren. Her stepmother. Strong jaw, slightly crooked nose, beautiful, happy, sunny Lauren. She zooms in on her features. Streaked eyeliner. She's been crying. It's formed little clear rivulets into her blusher. Poppy can tell a crying selfie from miles away. She scrolls across. Is she in a taxi? She can see a driver behind her. And that's where she sees it. On the taxi driver's sat-nav. 2 Sunshine Drive. Y05 6GH. Fuck, she says. She shows it wordlessly to Emily. Jesus, Emily says. Poppy scrolls up through in case of emergency right to the beginning. The tentative beginning. Then the banter. Their confessionals. Their love letters. Fuck, she whispers. Emily says nothing, just staring at the texts, then up at her. So Poppy adds, "We should tell someone." Emily reaches for the phone and scrolls down, reading quickly. "He's protecting her," Emily says softly. She scrolls to just a few weeks ago, evidently double-checking something, then nods, passing it to Poppy. She reads it. It's her father all over. "No, don't take the phone out. Make sure you're with Zara so she doesn't make friends with somebody and disclose. Remember, no website photos. Caution, always caution." Poppy closes her eyes. It makes complete sense. Open, social, indiscreet Lauren. The worst person to go into witness protection. Her careful, brave, smart dad, always doing the right thing, even when it might seem misguided. He hasn't been reckless. He's been careful. Poppy looks at the rest of the phone. It's anonymous. A blank background image of space, 1 page of apps. Not much in the photos. Emily peers over her shoulder and points to a folder. Evidence, it is called. It's blurred photos of something, tucked away within the gallery. They're of some sort of messenger Poppy doesn't recognise. Find Girl A, Underground, is written at the top. In the same folder, a screenshot note made by him. Meet up, 20th December, 7 p.m. Then there are screenshots of emails with the police, dated throughout November, seemingly arranging for them to meet, though it's not clear why. Another screenshot of another note. They want to see evidence of conspiracy to murder, forward planning, and evidence of weapons. "Look," Emily says. "Look what he's doing." She goes back to the photos of the Find Girl A group. There are hundreds of them. He's gathering evidence of their plans, and look, he's been telling the police. Poppy nods slowly. "I see. He suggested a meeting. Look, Pops. He's going to bust them. Oh my God. In just a few days." Emily excitedly takes the phone off her. "The group messages are on a weird app," she says. "Telegram." She finds the app in the folder. As always, Emily is a few steps ahead of her. "He's joined the group under a fake name. Look at the messages on the right, from this phone. It's James Thomas." "Man," Poppy says, staring at them. "They're meeting in 4 days. And the police will be there. Yes." Wow. And despite the scary night, the sinister burner phone, Poppy is relieved. He is the man she thought he is. Her father. He isn't being reckless. He's problem-solving, the way he always has. Thank God she hasn't lost him. Emily leans back on her hands. What a hero. He's keeping an eye on them and trying to get them arrested. He's being proactive, isn't he, rather than hiding like the police suggested. Emily gestures for Poppy to uncross her legs, then opens a bottle of nail varnish. "Purple?" she says. "Sure." Emily begins buffing her toenails as she thinks. "You can't tell the police. They already know. It's legit." "Yeah. All you need to do is wait, and maybe next week, maybe it'll all be over." "Yeah." Poppy can't imagine. She feels light as air. Emily slicks on the first cool stroke of polish. Poppy closes her eyes and leans back against the sofa. Emily paints away in silence. Poppy enjoys the cathartic strokes on her toes, the feeling of a problem shared, of good advice having been given, of optimism. She hears a noise in the bedroom, the creak of the bed. He's just turning over, she tells herself as she sits completely still, listening. Emily stops painting and looks up. "Fuck," she mouths. They freeze. A longer creak, and 2 feet landing on the wooden floor slightly out of time with each other. Poppy moves as quickly as she can, stuffing the phone down the side of the sofa. She turns it off with her finger so it doesn't make any noise. Hopefully he won't notice the rucksack. "Pops," her dad says, arriving in the living room. "We're doing toenails," Poppy says, gesturing to Emily, holding the bottle. "Right," he says. Emily excuses herself to go to the bathroom. "Can't sleep," Poppy says. "Yeah." He rubs at his beard. Her upper lip is sweating as she sits there in her pyjamas, his secret phone down the side of the sofa. He gets them 2 glasses of water and sits in the armchair opposite her. "I miss them," her dad says. He puts his glass on a coaster on the coffee table and stretches his arms above his head. "But I think things might get better, you know. I think it'll blow over soon." Poppy leans back against the sofa. It's too warm in the living room, the electric radiator in the corner producing steam that rises up into the room like tendrils of hair. She once told her dad that he kept the house too cold, and ever since, he's turned the heating up whenever she comes to stay. "You think?" she says. "I really do." She can tell he's tired. He would never usually get her hopes up like this. But there it is. Proof. She's seen it on his phone, and if there was any doubt, he's confirmed it. The nightmare is about to end. "I'm happy on the camp bed, if you two want my bed," he says sleepily to her. "I should have said earlier." He rubs his head. "Didn't think." No, Poppy says. Bill pads into the living room. He doesn't like it here. He's been at Hannah's for a while, but now he's back. She guesses her dad got lonely. Bill looks mournfully out of the 6th floor window and then to Poppy. She reaches to pat his head and he nuzzles into her, the way he used to do with Lauren. She hopes her dad is paying him enough attention. Her dad finishes his water and goes to the sink. He's never been a big talker, not in the way that Lauren is. He is the one who quietly turns the thermostat up, who tries to entrap a vigilante group. Eventually he leaves. When Poppy hears his snoring begin, Emily replaces the phone in his bag. At midnight, they Google the address. York. They're in York. Sunshine Drive. She knows it and wishes she didn't, all at the same time. As she's falling asleep, Bill's chin by her side, she remembers she didn't put the text message back on unread. But she's sure he knows where they are. That's the whole point, isn't it? Sleep overcomes her and, the next morning, it is forgotten. Chapter 59. Lauren. York, Yorkshire. 6 weeks gone. Lauren is hungover, sitting on the bar stool in the kitchen. They're almost exactly the same as the ones she has at home in Islington. If she closes her eyes, she can conjure up the feeling of that house. Sunlight on the counter in tiger stripes through the shutters. Bill's dangling jowls resting against her knees, leathery and warm. The smell of it, only noticeable after holidays. Laundry, last night's cooking, dog hair. God, it's almost Christmas. They don't even have a tree. I'm going out with Dom, Zara says, a burst of enthusiasm in the kitchen, like a flower pushing up unexpectedly through pavement. Lauren feels a heavy sigh brewing within her. Oh, to be 16 and in love with the boy next door. Is that who you were speaking to? Lauren says. Not sure. Her composure has come back, drawing across her face like a filter. What? How can you not be sure? Was I on the phone? I heard you talking. Yeah. To who then? Zara says nothing. Where's all this secrecy come from? Lauren says, anxiety lacing her words like acid. She can disregard her own safety, sit in taxis ill-advisedly and send selfies, but she can't relax the rules for her daughter, her endangered daughter. Zara shrugs. She's been less insolent recently, happier, but still secretive. Look, Lauren says, I get that it's hard, but I don't know why you seem to think that's my fault. She looks carefully at her daughter's angry little face. Because it isn't. Yeah, sure, Zara says, and this time she isn't angry. She's indifferent. A funny sort of rage rises up through Lauren. How dare she keep things from her? They stare at each other for several seconds. Lauren can't see any of herself in Zara today. Zara is wearing a hat and mittens, hasn't put her coat on yet. She looks like a model. If you won't do things my way, I won't help you, Lauren says. I can't help someone who keeps secrets from me. What? We live here, Lauren gestures around her, together. We're a team. So? I can't do it, Zara, I can't, Lauren says, thinking of the past few weeks. Feeding Zara chocolate cake for breakfast, being understanding, letting her go out whenever she wants to, acting like a kid herself on the burner phone. Her mind circles back even further, letting her daughter give evidence, letting her go out alone the weekend after, even though she knew a group wanted to hurt her. God, Lauren needs to grow up. It's time to start parenting. It's up to you, Lauren says. Thanks for the understanding, Zara says sarcastically. I do understand, Lauren says quietly. I've left my husband, my stepdaughter, my job, my friends. Nobody understands better than me. Zara stares at her, her eyes two wet pools. I know, she whispers. She drops her gaze. I know. I'm not the enemy here, Lauren says. I'm just not. You need to... God, Zara, you need to respect me here, or you can find another ally. Okay, Zara says. Lauren sees two distinct tear tracks making their way down Zara's cheeks. Her shoulders sag in defeat. What's been going on? Why have you been so angry with me? Zara waves a hand. Lauren waits. I feel like there's probably something wrong with me, she says in a small voice. What? Like I told that lie, and then, I don't know, I've never been able to fit in, you know? Lauren takes a tentative step towards her daughter. There is absolutely nothing wrong with you. You would say that. It's the truth. What could be wrong? She holds on to Zara's long, slim arms, her skin still baby soft. You're perfection to me. I like books too much. I'm awkward. Everyone at school is always joking around, and I'm so serious. Serious people who like books aren't worse than chatty, jokey people, Lauren says. Has she instilled this insecurity in Zara somehow? In trying to always buoy her up, has she pushed her down? I bet Emily Bronte was serious. Zara cracks a smile at that. I bet she liked books too, Lauren adds. Probably. I feel like that, you know, Lauren says. I had this interview yesterday and I was a total lunatic in it. We all feel awkward sometimes. We all feel like we don't fit in. It's part of being human. Is it? Zara says, her eyes fixed on her mother's, like she's just told her something amazing. Absolutely. I feel like it every day. Every day? Every day. Lauren ascends the stairs later. She turns the wrong way. Already her muscles have memorized their first house's layout. She starts the bath running. The water clatters out of the hot tap, steaming within just a few seconds, and she watches it, hoping it'll hold, even though it's a different bath, a different house. As she turns to go and investigate which of her bath oils made it across here with her, she sees something on the edge of the bath. A bottle of Radox stress relief. A post-it note next to it. Here's to York. John. Tears fill her eyes. She dumps a quarter of the bottle in and watches the water turn a bright aquamarine. She fetches a towel and removes her clothes, then gets in. Warm feet, goosebumps everywhere else, like she is outside, wild and free, the cool wind on her skin, the hot sun just reaching her feet, like she stepped out onto a patio half in shade, half in light. She adds a little cold, then sinks down into the water as she feels it. She closes her eyes, thinking nothing. Her mind a bicycle wheel slowing down, down, down. Her burner phone is in a drawer. The ill-advised text to Aidan gone unresponded to. She thinks of their near miss, and of Zara's smile when Dom WhatsApps her. It is here, safe in the warm water, that she can finally consider it. She is wounded by Aidan's silence. But could she also be free? Could she try to grow up and move on? The longer they stay, the deeper their roots grow, and the more pain they would experience if they returned home. If Zara could somehow move back to London and discard Suzanne and be Zara again, would she? She would right now. But what about next week? Next month? Soon there will come a tipping point, where here feels more like home than London. And what about herself? She's been in denial, thinking this'll end, thinking she can fix it. But she has been offered a new identity on the state, the gold standard last resort. It is not the kind of problem that will suddenly fix itself. They have to try here in York and make it home. She has to accept the hand she has been dealt, stop trying to rebel against it like a child. She'll never not love Aidan, but she has to move forwards, not backwards. She submerges her ears beneath the water, the steam tickling them, and blanks her mind. After half an hour, she hears Zara's voice outside, and then the boy's voice too. Just broken, a brand new man's voice in a boy's body. She can't make out what they're saying, but she can tell the tone of it. Happy, excited, interrupting each other constantly and enthusiastically. Finally, she's coming out of herself. Her shy daughter who's always felt like she isn't enough. Lauren momentarily wonders who Zara had been on the phone to. She'll try to ask again later. Baby steps. The melodies of Zara and Dom's voices mingle as Lauren closes her eyes, letting the steam heat her shoulders, wiggling her toes against the side of the bath. If Zara is happy, Lauren is thinking, then I am too. Zara could be happy here. She could settle here. And so could Lauren. For Zara. Happiness by proxy. Chapter 60. Aidan, Shepherd's Bush, London. 2 days to go. Aidan turns on Lauren's old coffee machine. The top is dusty. He puts a teapot in that went out of date in 2014. He thinks of all the times Lauren must have made coffee in the early days of their relationship. Did she press it, this button here, faded from her fingertips, and think of him? He strokes the button slowly, thinking. The day after tomorrow is the day of the meeting, and so in 2 days she will be in his arms again. His Lauren. He's nervous, but he's optimistic too, his stomach fizzing with it. He feels like he's had 3 coffees and a bag of sweets. He's jittery, shifting his weight from foot to foot as his mug fills with tea. Right. Think. The police. Lottie. She wanted an update today. He finds her and presses call. It's all on for the day after tomorrow, he says to her. They should all be there. It's a group-wide meet. I've asked everybody to bring all of the information they have, so there should be evidence, if not the weapons themselves. Good. I'm plugging away here. I know it might not feel like it, but I'm lining it all up. Good. Is it... Are you getting grief? Lottie hesitates. A bit, she says. It isn't orthodox, what we're doing. And you know, I'm junior here. I know, sorry, Aidan says. No worries. Look, I told you I'd do the same thing for my babies. Aidan stares into his tea. She's so young, and with 2 babies already and this volatile career of hers. What's behind it all? He wonders. What'll happen if it goes wrong? He says. It won't go wrong. I mean, to you. Why are you putting it all on the line for me? Lottie appears to think for a second. You know, she says, I just always wanted to do the right thing, from when I was a child even. Aidan's mouth twists into an ironic smile. He takes a gulp of tea. You sound like my stepdaughter, he says softly. Lottie laughs, a small, sad laugh. I always was quite, I don't know, anti-establishment, right? A classic young person. Bet you vote for Jeremy Corbyn. Just you wait. Lottie chuckles. We'll see. I always wanted to tackle gang culture, she says. People who got caught up in it and can't escape. Maybe you will work with gangs, he says. But I already am. Yeah? The Fine Girl A group might be middle class, she says. Footballers, football fans, but they are a gang. Aidan sits in silence. They are. He thinks of the way Brian riles them up. Mob rule. Of their form of vigilante justice. Of Goodbye Mr. X leaving the group and getting his arm broken. It's all gang culture. And he's right in the middle of it. He's joined a gang. A gang, he echoes softly. Yeah. But we'll get them. Have you told your team? He asks. Had to. After your injury. My superior doesn't like the idea of you being in the group, but to me, it's the only way. Are you in trouble? No, but... Well, I think I might have to leave if we don't get a conviction. I've forced a few hands, called in a few favours. What? I mean it, Lottie says. I believe in it. Plugging away, doing the right thing, playing the long game. That's the kind of officer I am. Want to be. Wow, Aidan says. Glad he has this woman on side, this beacon of hope on the horizon of the dark dawn. Have they any idea? She asks. Who I am? No, I don't think so. I'm just thinking of double bluffs, she says. Aidan briefly thinks of Brian's suspicion, of the two blokes who beat him up, one of whom might have been at the last meeting, but doesn't voice it. No, nobody suspects, he says. Aidan reconfirms the address to her. It's written on a post-it note he keeps on his desk, and his hand is trembling as he holds it. He tries to stop it, but he can't. Soon, soon. Lauren will be back in his bed, warm skin sticky on his, and he will finally relax. Even the ones we can't convict will be witnesses, Lottie says to him. She seems to be thinking aloud. Good. How advanced is their plan, would you say? Aidan can hear as she shifts the mouthpiece. She becomes louder. They're intermittently trying to find her. They never say too much about what will happen when they do. But the implications are clear. And those pensioners in Truro, they had a knife. The police there fingerprinted the house, didn't they? And I'll be able to testify. He swallows, thinking about Zara having done this exact thing. About the group. I know, she says. Okay, right, good. He sips his tea, enjoying the bitter taste of the tannin. You'll be there, I assume, she says. I'll have to arrest you too, otherwise they'll know it was you. You're smart, Aidan says. Lottie laughs. I try. Leave it with me, she says. I'll call you in the morning. Let me know if anything changes. They pause, both saying nothing. Aidan owes this woman so much. How can he ever thank her? A bunch of flowers, a box of chocolates. They all seem trite. Okay. What are your kids called? He says, wanting to prolong the call, to see a chink in her armour. Katie and Sian. My whole world, she says sincerely. He hangs up and sips his tea slowly, thinking. He's thinking of parenthood and how parents are at the centre of all this chaos. Aidan, Lottie, Lauren, Brian, all doing the best for their kids, however misguided. Next, he reconfirms the meeting place and time with the group. Asks them to bring all of the information they have, again, trying not to labour the point. It's read by everybody except Brian and another member. Aidan navigates to their contact details and sees Brian's online. So is the other man, but he's not responding to him. His mind scans over the last few weeks. Brian's insistence on the scrapers, his suspicion. What if they've rumbled him? What if he is discussing him with the other member right now? He opens his text messages, thinking about whether to tell Lauren to give her a hint. But then he closes them again. He shouldn't have told Poppy what he did the other night. It'll get her hopes up. It's cruel. It's cruel when there's so much at stake and so much that could go wrong. And it's cruel for her, specifically. She has suffered so much. But wait. Was that... He opens the texts again. Lauren sent a selfie. The other night, shortly before midnight. He must have missed it. He opens it. She's in a car, looking at the camera. She's so beautiful and so sad. His wife who can't stay away from him. He smiles back at her selfie, until Brian writes back on Telegram, distracting him. Sounds like a big day, he says. Aidan swallows. He opens Brian's contact and types. All okay, he says. Yeah, mate, looking forward to seeing you, Brian writes. Aidan leaves it there. Anything else would reveal too much. He has to trust. He has to relax. He has to believe that he might be able to pull it off. Doubts won't help at this stage. He takes the tea over to the sofa and puts his feet up, feeling the anticipation of the relief he might experience when it's all over. He allows himself a reverie on the couch. Lauren and Zara are here. No, not here. Back in their sunny Islington house, together, under their own names, and they're safe. They're making pancakes, buying Christmas presents. The worst autumn of their lives forgotten. A bullet dodged. Chapter 61. Zara, Yorkshire. 7 weeks gone. Dom hasn't gone off her at all. Quite the opposite, in fact. It's the end of another walk with Dom, and Zara doesn't want to leave him, not yet. It's early evening, but their walk's finished. They're back home, standing at the seam of their 2 terraces. Dom's fingers are on the dark brown putty between the bricks. He is unconsciously moving his fingertips over it. He has neat fingernails, short, perfect circles. He told her in that northern accent of his that he is actually utterly rubbish at the guitar. He talks fast, but with big pauses while he thinks. Short staccato bursts. He doesn't seem to have any pretensions about him. He has named no obscure bands. He doesn't have a particular niche interest. He told her he enjoys biology. I like animals and plants. And she wanted to tell him so badly about her lettuces, but she didn't. She has been good. Zara has been erased. Suzanne in her place. Sienna barely existing, like a firework that never went off. The gunpowder never there in the first place. She almost misses her. That life, even though she was miserable there for the entire time. That's nostalgia for you, she guesses. Everything is enjoyable if it's a memory. His feet are only a few inches from hers down there on the frosted pavement, and that must mean they're standing close to each other. Zara looks at him, his face a pale amber in the streetlight. We could sit out for a bit, Dom offers. He gestures to the steps outside their houses, separated by a metal rail. It's so cold, Zara says, but she sits down to show him that she wants to stay. The frost seeps immediately through her jeans. He sits next to her, on the other side of the handrail. It runs above them, between their heads, a kind of separation. Zara wants to lean into him, like a needy animal, and tell him how scared she is. She wants to tell him how it feels to be pursued by a justice group, to be wanted, to be in danger. She wants to tell him how closeted she feels, how closed away, her emotions dulled and flattened by the protection service, how every single sentence requires forethought, and so how everything is fake. It's pretty early days, Suzanne by the river. But I think you're kind of cool, he says. Zara roots around for something she can say. Same. Look, she says. There's a lecture on next week about this novel I read. I know it's nerdy. If you're there, I'm there, Dom says. And the sun comes out on Zara's life, just like that. Settled in yet? He says after a few minutes. I feel like I'm in a holiday home. Dom laughs. Some holiday home, he says, but then his expression becomes set again. As a serial mover, let me tell you that this is absolutely normal. It takes 3 months to feel at home, he says. I go through all the stages each time. First, I'm really good, like it's the new year or something, and I've decided to change all my habits. But then, after a while, I relax. I let my room go to ruin. And it's only then that I start to feel at home. That's it, she says, thinking. She needs to bond with the house, the town, and with herself, Suzanne, too. I keep thinking about my old life, old me, missing it all. And there it is. It's easy, with him, to find some truths amongst the lies. You just have to search for them. Dom nods and sits forward again. He's left 2 starfishes in the frost. Zara stares at him and thinks, I could love those hands of his. The thought surprises her. It arrives, fully formed in her mind. Same as she wrote on the post-it. Don't fall in love. Except this time the thought is, I could love him. She's never thought anything like it before, but she thinks it again as she looks at him. I could love him. The future unfurls in front of them, the past irrelevant, like disappearing contrails in the sky. So what's the first song you'll teach me? On the guitar, she says, shifting imperceptibly closer to him. She never would have asked such a question a few months ago. She would never tease, be too afraid to. But now she isn't. Because he likes her for who she is. Three Blind Mice, he says. Their laughs ring out in the night, high and low, commingling like their warm breath in the cold December air. Zara, wet bottom, cold hands, doesn't ever want to leave.